challenges and even different types of enemies because some people judge me and some people look at me and automatically think I cannot do, I won't be able to do, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough because I am, for one, a woman, two, a person of color, African American, and three, my disability. And in a few of the recordings, you're going to hear me mention that I will one day talk about the nightmare of the semester that I've had and also how it feels to teach college level and even K through 8 or K through 12. I've taught K through 12, which, the high school, that'll be a series of its own. But how demeaning, how just the lack of respect and how much they want to disrespect, and because of how I look, because they see disability as weakness, they see disability as you will never, I don't care how much you've learned, I don't care your degrees, I don't care how hard or how dedicated you are, you will never be able to teach me dot dot dot. And I've just faced that this past semester. I have witnessed students who part of, like, and I know they lied to their parents. I know they lied to their mothers. But sometimes I just wish, like, if some parents wanted to watch how their kids were in the room, I wish there were cameras. And I'll be real, like, yeah, it's like with my business, with my books, I talk about my business. I used to, but I've learned the next time or when I am back into the college arena, I won't again. You're gonna hear, like, I mentioned many stories about how I was able to connect my business with the class because talking about firsthand experience, marketing, and advertising and sales, people to people, and literally the steps that I've taken and how things that are in the chapter books, but then also I look up like YouTube channels from like experts on, because I'm like, yeah, we can read the book, but let me look up the best people who have gone through and have expanded and either created like their own either small business, large business. They worked in empires and like for millionaires, or they are millionaires. Let you listen to them. And then I grab information from like daily news because, like, this past semester, Wendy's they decided to change part of their pricing method. And they were going to price it based off of how busy or how slow their location was at the moment. And so being able to sit down as a group, as a class, and listen from my students on, do you think this is a smart move? Do you think the competition will follow along? And like, do you think like lunchtime or their busy times will change? And yeah, it's like it sounds like economics, but like I try to teach my students how marketing and advertising is all, it connects to every other component to the business. Sometimes you have to think about the money aspect, the budget, location, location, location. How are things going to connect and work and how people see things? And so with Wendy's doing this, and I mean, okay, I just an example, but anyway, but even changing the menu and the options, and like even the study, like I shared a study about taste buds and how different, like what taste buds ignited are popular in what parts of the country and around the world. Because I also try to focus on international as well, because some students, if they ever work for a company, may end up having a client that is not in the US or a company that is not US based. And so I try to show commercials and billboards and things like that and news from international as well. Because, like, well, I didn't major in it, but my minor is in applied anthropology. And so I try to focus on cultural and business anthropology. And it's just, I'm saying all of this because with all of the hard work I put in, I every semester I've had students who they just sound like even one student I remember, it wasn't this past semester, but oh, I've had a lot worse this semester, but I remember one student who had the nerve to ask me, so, did you get into college because you're black, basically, in summary? But this is like the first day of class, and this is when I asked students if they had any questions. Usually, the questions are based off like what's going on with the syllabus and the tests, and like with participation and or just different things like that. And sometimes it might be questions about why did I get into advertising or marketing, and like how did I gain my experience and things like that, but not an accusation of basically the only basically sounding like my ex's mom. And a lot of people don't understand, like, I've had this question or this misconception so many times. It gets annoying, it gets frustrating. So then when people try to say all of this reverse racism, and then they're so scared of diversity, equity, and inclusion, yeah, I said it. They don't realize how much we go through, how much we get put down, because especially as a black woman, students don't respect me or see me the same. And especially because I mean, as a female too, I've had some sexist comments. Yeah. And some of you guys, like especially the fathers, some of you fathers need to teach your children how to respect people, especially women who have different, like, well, any role. I mean, even if like fast food, retail, whatever, they need to respect, but it's like, who, because I'm a female and because I wasn't, since I teach in the business school, I got a lot of interesting comments. But then as a person with a disability, it's even worse. It's even worse. I've had students while I'm going to the door, it takes me a while because I have a walking disability. I've had students just cut right in front of me, right when I'm finally at the door. And I'm about to press the handicap button so the door can open. And then students cut in front of me. And so then I have to wait for them to go. But the timer is really fast. So then the door's gonna close on me. And so then I have to go back to the button and press it again. And I've had some students who think it's funny. And so then some students, they see that I'm going back to the button to press it again, and then they do it again. But they don't know I'm a professor, but that's the thing is I'm human. That's one reason why I say, but most importantly, I'm human because people forget that we're all human. They want to judge and they want to perceive or they want, I don't know. It's just something like sometimes I feel like some of the people who have no sympathy or empathy or compassion or willingness to understand and learn and educate themselves about others, they must be bored or lonely or I don't know what it is, but I remember there were a few times that I think twice this semester where students did that to me. And some of my past students, one time it was one of my past students, they were in that person's class. And when the student did that, they're like, uh-uh, no, what? You're gonna treat professor like, and the student kind of stopped and they looked back and they're like, who, what? And they were like, you're really gonna treat Professor Marshall like this? And he was like, wait, there's no professor. And I'm still, well, I'm walking past him now because now he's willing to talk to this person, but not me. And the student, my past student, then looked at me and said, "Hi, Professor Marshall. I really miss your class. How are you?" And then the person looked at me like a deer in headlights. Oh, I loved it. It's like, because I don't know, it's like all of a sudden you have fear in your eyes because now that you know my title, but the title shouldn't matter. I'll repeat that. The title should not matter. I'm human. That is the thing that we should all consider is human. But he only was in fear because now that he understood I had a title. So, really annoying and really frustrating. And I share all of that. And oh, yeah, I was like, if you want to get a snack, get your snack. Come on back. My bad. Sorry. Yeah, almost when I'm halfway over. But anyway, so yeah, if you want to pause it, understand. But I say all of that because happy Disability Independence Day. Because people don't understand diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially when it comes to those with disabilities. They don't understand, like, because I even remember years ago when I think it was a year after I was diagnosed. It was still in a very emotional time for me, but I was I was doing research and looking up things about disability organizations, nonprofits, and how to figure out my new life. And some people are going to say, new, I thought you were born with it. I was born, but I was kept into the shadows. Doctors told me the pain was in my head. They said I was making it up. So my brain kept telling myself, keep going, keep walking. The pain isn't there. You're crazy. Stop. It's like, and so now that I am diagnosed, now that I know my truth, I can live my life now. So to me, it's new because now it's like I know my reality. So with my new reality, I have to do research and learn things that I should have known for years. And with disability independence, I I want to first say happy Disability Independence Day for all of those who have to face the world having to learn how to embrace, live, love life outside of the cookie cutter that people perceive as normal, because even when it comes to language, because American Sign Language and Braille is like making sure that there's access to that, or at least a lot more access to that. And it's like, oh yeah, I mentioned, because I try to make sure I mention disability in business as well. And like some of the locations of Starbucks, if you say that you are hard of hearing or deaf, like they have like the screen and everything. And so, like, you will, I think they have it where that has been trained in American Sign Language, it's like they can sign the different beverages and different things like that, which bravo. And I hope one day, like maybe restaurants can have tablets. I mean, this is just an idea that I've had, but can we have like restaurants have tablets where if someone is deaf, that maybe they can hand them the tablet and they can go through the menu where it can be signed to them. Is like, or like if they have like different questions or popular questions or anything like that. So me, like, but you know what, the deaf community, like with having a disability, since mine is walking, I know that is my area, because there are some places where I wish like the ramps were easier to access, or even the handicap doors again, pressing those. I wish the timer was a little longer, because I I just started using actually I used my scooter for the first time yesterday, or yeah, 2 days ago. And it was amazing, great and stuff, because it showed me how I can do, like, have adventures and do things that I was nervous to do with my walker. But with my walker, I walk slower. But at the same time, I like walking with my walker because I am able to walk. It takes me longer, but sometimes I like to walk. So I wish that some places would just add, even if it was just 5 or 10 seconds, that would help. Like, because at the school that I teach at or taught at, like, yeah, let's just say who we, but it's like it's teach at. But almost every time I walk through that door, and there's a few students who they were every night, because I usually teach night classes. They would walk me to the parking lot, and it's like we would continue talking about business and marketing, and or they would ask me about my business, my books, and my and last semester I announced about my greeting cards, and I showed them samples and my activity books. So blah 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 blah. But it was they were nice enough to, because they were like, we don't want to leave you out in the dark, and like things like that. So I don't know, when it comes to walking disability, so I love how some people have such pure hearts and empathetic, and even when they say you don't have to walk with me, like I sometimes are just like, you have the like you have such amazing stories or experiences. Like sometimes I would tell them about my promotional modeling experience, or again, like with my writing, how did I create a character or a scene, or situation and things like that. So, because even with my Grim Reaper, a f- like last week, I remember like there was one moment in my life that happened, who, about 9 or 10 years ago, that I wanted to put in my novel, but it didn't fit with Abby. And oh, I'm probably going to announce my Grim Reaper's first name pretty soon. I've been doing research and everything like that because I want to make sure it fit her. But there's one moment that sparked my memory. And like one reason why mentioned the idea for the deaf community, like my main character for my Grim Reaper, she is a Grim Reaper, but she is partially deaf. And so I've been doing a lot of research and things like that about the deaf community because I want to make sure it is as accurate and at the same time gives a resemblance of her, the essence of her human components, but at the same time, her reality of getting through life with the disability. And, but some people, they ask me, why would you have pride for having a disability? Why would you have pride for standing out or being different or having to face life the way you do? Why not? Why not have pride? Because I think we should be congratulated and have pride because we're willing to go out there on a daily basis and face people who are going to stare at us, judge us, prejudge us, look down on us. We are willing to do our research. We are like willing to face things head on. And we we basically Inspector Gadget or MacGyver our way through life with, okay, what contraption can get me from A to B, or how can I access this item Z, X, T, whatever, and how can I either even traveling, and or how do I go with the like theme parks. And I've kind of mentioned before how when I worked at the zoo, I met so many amazing people. Some not so much. I have stories, but well, I got to be the butterfly girl, and it was such an honor that I ended up having that nickname at the zoo. Yeah, like I've been really thinking about those days lately. Even though it was only $8 an hour, which pay these people more. It's like maybe, oh yeah, let's just say I've got thoughts, but I was looking up research about butterflies. I was looking up things about some of the other animals at the zoo, but also with my experience from the zoo, I was telling the daters, oh, yeah, make sure you go by the polar bear exhibit, romantic. And then about like the kangaroos, there's different like facts about kangaroos that like on a date a gentleman can let the lady know. And I don't like, so sometimes while they're on the date, it's like if the young ladies were walking around looking at butterflies, I'll, whisper like, oh, make sure you hit this spot and, tell her this or tell her that and stuff like that. Or if I find out a gentleman's about to propose, it's like I would tell, like, especially with the butterfly exhibit, I would kind of whisper a couple things about butterflies because, ooh, butterflies are kinky and free. Let's just say, all I gotta say is, okay, butterflies, do your thing, do your thing. But I love that job, and for my awesome, amazing kids that I got to meet while there. Because, yeah, I had so many facts for the little ones. And, like, some of them, every time they would see me, they would, like, give me hugs. And so each time I would try to have a different animal fact for them. And I would try to keep it with like either penguin or bird or butterfly related a lot of days. But so it's like, I mean, there's so many animals at the zoo, and sometimes I would want them to be to adventure on to learn about the other ones as well. But I don't know. While working there, while seeing some of the most amazing people, I met some people with disabilities, and they they made my job even more special and amazing and helped me. This is before I was diagnosed, so I didn't even know I was part of the community. But whenever I saw them, I wanted them to love their experience at the zoo. I wanted them to remember that day or that moment, even if, like, maybe not for the rest of their life, but at least for a few years. And I had a few customers that were one of the patrons were blind, and I was able to ask the zookeepers in the butterfly exhibit if I can grab one that had passed away. And I started keeping wipes in my bag so they can wipe afterwards, but I would place it in their hand so that they could feel a butterfly, because since they can't see it, at least they would be able to picture it in their head in a way. And I had some that were deaf, so I tried to make sure I learned like butterfly and some of the basic words for the different rules in the exhibit, and penguin, and a few other, like, I mean, different signs and things. But, and even about the artwork that was in the exhibit, and then with the aquarium. But I loved it. It was amazing. And it allowed me to understand or learn more about them and their, like, and also being patient and understanding, because in patience I mean with me, because sometimes, like, while I'm trying to figure out how I can make their day better, I had to be patient within myself to figure it out. And one little princess is like, I wish, like, I wish I could have gotten their information for either Facebook or whatever. But there was a young lady, a young girl who was blind, or mostly blind. She could see a little bit. And I remember I showed her a couple tricks that I've learned that help lure the butterfly to fly on you. And the butterfly